All right. Well, usually this is a bigger gathering of folks here. We usually have a nice gathering down here in the room, but we'll do it this way, and it's usually not right after a full practice. So we concluded our fifth practice, our first one in full pads today, and moving forward with our spring season. But today was also signing day for a lot of people. A lot of people had a lot of signees back in December. We took a different approach based on what we had available and what we were waiting to see what we had coming back with the NCAA's rules that the seniors can come back for an extra year. I think we have between 11 and 12, and that put us in a different mode in terms of what we're going to do. So I'll briefly touch on these guys, and I'd also like I have Aaron Prier, who has been our recruiting coordinator for 2 years, 2 now, 3 year and some change, and he's done a great job in getting this whole thing organized. So I'll have him come up here, and you can shoot some questions at him as well. I'm sure you'll have plenty for me, but we went into this. We still have a few more guys we will sign. This is by no means the end all to the class. In terms of some guys, we lost a receiver the last minute to UTEP, quarterback to LSU, and a guy, we lost one to Boise that we had offered, not necessarily committed, but so we were on the right guys, and but we also did what we wanted to do. We filled a couple of needs, filled a couple offensive line positions, wide receiver. I think we have a real good one out of Corona Centennial, one of the better high school programs in the country, that I think, and I'm going to knock on wood, that a lot of people missed, and that's good for us. But as I mentioned back in December, probably that we also have some return missionaries that count in this class, which makes our numbers appear smaller, but I've added them in that. And as of right now, Tu'uafu, Owen Stewart, and Spencer Tatafu, they're practicing with us currently. And then when we start in the fall, we'll add 2 more, Sam Daw and Junior Damuni, which they signed with us 2 years ago, whatever, went on their mission. So it's like I said, it's not a huge class by any means, but the fact that we're bringing a bunch of seniors back makes it so we didn't have a whole lot of slots to fill. But I was glad to see we got a young man from Century, Jovan Soul, and then in recruiting, you always say if you got mom, then you got the kid. And Connor Maloney from Idaho Falls, that was really easy because his mom's our tennis coach, Gretchen Maloney. So we had mom on that one pretty easy. So, but apparently she hasn't been to see us practice. So if she was, she probably wouldn't be so fond of having her son come play. But no, I'm just kidding there. So anyways, we're excited to get Cortland Horton out of Eagle High School. Always want to get, there's out there in the Boise area, there's a bunch of kids, and we'd like to get more, but we can't get them all. I'd like to address the fact that, I know there was some discussion regarding players from the state that we did not get. And a young man from Century that went to Montana State, Titan Fleischman, we offered him as a freshman. We were his first offer, right? We talked to his dad, and he had an offer on the table from us from day one. And the day that he committed to Montana State, he called me personally on the phone before he did and made sure, he said, "Hey, Coach, I want to thank you very much. I appreciate everything, but I feel, Montana State's a place for me." So there was nothing underworking there. It was a very, very cordial recruitment. And like I said, the young man was super in terms of, and he just wanted to go to Montana State. Sean Austin from CUNA is another one. We were his first offer, his junior year, maybe his sophomore year. And he did the exact same thing. He called me before he committed as a courtesy, which that shows that those coaches are running the program right. Their parents are bringing them up right. And Sean called me to say, "Hey, Coach, I really appreciate it, but I feel comfortable at Montana State." So those, you lose those battles, and the way you go on is like, hey, good luck. It's a great decision. If things don't work out, we're here for you. Lost a young man from Highland. He chose to go walk on at Utah State. So, we did our due diligence, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just telling you guys the facts that, we're out there working. It was difficult recruiting this year because there was no official visits. We did a lot of Zoom calls, and really Aaron Pryor here did a wonderful job putting a junior day together. We had a recruiting day a couple weekends ago where we had about 8 kids on and their parents, and we were on Zoom call with them for about an hour and a half. So like I said, Aaron, I'd like you to talk with Aaron a little bit about some of the stuff that he does, because he does a good job. He's part of what we call the think tank, where between him and JB Hall and Cody Hensley and Hagen Graves, and those guys I got to wear these readers. I'm an old guy. Those guys all understand social media and all that stuff. So they take care of that. I still use one of those copy machines that you pour the stuff in and you turn. So do you even know what one of those are, Andrew? You probably don't know, do you?
Funnily enough, that's how we print our paper.
Yeah, it's when you smell
it.
Yeah, the first thing you do is like that. So I know, Corinne, you don't know what that is. So anyways, but any questions there before I turn it over to Aaron?
That is the mimeograph machine, right, Coach?
Mimeograph, I think. Yeah.
I think I'm older than you are.
Yeah, not by much. So anything? Yeah.
Coach, I know you talked about some of the guys you recruited being here from Idaho. Just how much do you appreciate the talent here in Idaho, and how important is it to you to keep those local kids coming to local schools in Idaho?
From the day I got here, I wanted to say we want to build Idaho State football with state Idaho players, and I think it's important to always have the most Idaho players on our roster. The fans want to come see the kids from Idaho play. And I think it's very important to do our due diligence in the state and not overlook anybody. And if I hate losing them to conference rivals, but that's the nature of the beast nowadays. But if we're losing guys to bigger schools, that's quite all right. But we want to keep the guys that we feel can play in the Big Sky Conference and help us win a conference championship in the state of Idaho are the guys that we want to recruit.
Coach, being an FCS program, you guys got to zig while everyone's zagging, things like that. So for you, what's kind of your mentality when you go into their living rooms, or in this case, over Zoom?
Yeah, well, like the young man down in Houston, great receiver, and it was one of those, he committed to us, and we were, it was one of those guys, we got to hold on to this guy. And as I think as recently as Saturday, UTEP came in and offered him, and it's closer to home. Makes total sense, and we understand where we are in the pecking order. You don't always like to accept it. You want to beat those guys every once in a while, but I have a good friend that coaches on that staff, and I texted him right after. I go, "Hey man, you took our receiver," and he goes, "Yeah, sorry." No, it's good. I said, "Good get. He's a good player." We knew it was going to be hard to hold him, and he goes, "Yeah, it happens to us all the time. UTEP's, just the next. You imagine the Mountain West teams will come in and steal dudes from them, and it works up just like it works down. So it's just it was tough with the Zoom stuff this year, not having the kids on campus. That's why it was so important what AP had put together, for the recruiting, so the kids can visually see it as best they can. Nothing replaces seeing it in person, but they like I said, the think tank did a really, really good job, and you try your best to vet the kids and talk to people on campus. It's a lot of phone calls that you make. So,
Javon's already getting comparisons to Mikey Dean. You kind of see him filling that role.
Well, that's what we in that slot position. It's hard to compare anybody to Mikey Dean now. When we go recruiting all over, the people that know us, they go, "Hey, I got the next Mikey Dean." I'm kind of like, "Yeah, no, you don't." It's just like they had the dude out at Boise a couple of years ago, number 11. When I was at UNLV, everyone go, "Hey, I got the next number 11 from Boise." Yeah, no, you don't. That guy's special. So but no, he can fill that role, and that's a position where we need bodies. Yes.
You just mentioned like those kids that everyone wants to tell you about. With all these local kids, of course, they get more hype. How do you decipher, okay, who's Division I level and who's not?
Well, we're pretty familiar. Obviously, we're really familiar with all three rosters. Okay, and we even throw Rigby. And, you go all the way up to Rigby and Rexburg and along that I-20 corridor, and we're pretty familiar with all the kids, and we've had most of them at one time in our camps, so we've seen them in person, and we'll know pretty quick right away, and sometimes when we're watching someone on film, another player jumps off, so we were watching Drew Gunter on film a year ago, and we saw, who's that little guy making all them plays, and so we start looking up Sowell, and you call Coach Hobson up, and have a discussion about him. So that's kind of how it goes. But it's David Fiafia recruits the three local schools. JB Hall works up the I-20 corridor, Idaho Falls, all the way up to Rexburg, and like I said, we do our due diligence in this area because we don't want to miss a kid out here in East Idaho.
How many of these kids, just with the 5 you signed out of high school, the 5 you announced to sign out of high school today? I mean, how many are walk-ons? How many are gray shirts?
We will have a couple more walk-ons. There may be, right now where we are scholarship-wise, we are don't know if we're going to have gray shirts or not. We may not. Depends on what happens at the end of the semester. So, like I said, you sign the kids for the scholarships, and then would they understand that if it's not there at the end of the semester, because of whatever, any type of attrition, then we have a list of guys that are potential gray shirts. But like I said, we expect to have at least 2 more signees and a couple more walk-on guys to announce as I look at my list here.
Coach, everybody that's going to play the spring season is in the same boat, but you had guys in their first year last fall ready to play a fall season, and now it gets postponed for 6 months. What kind of progress have you seen? What kind of benefit to those guys have you seen because of the delay?
Yeah, that's something that Andrew and I visited a little bit about on Monday, where it was very beneficial because it allowed. Usually, you have a season and then a spring ball, and the guys go into the season. They don't know what's going on. They don't even know how to tie their shoes. But when the way it was backwards this year, we got to run our fall camps, our fall mini camps, and that enabled us to get some of these young freshmen ready to go. You're going to hear the name Jalen Henderson, Josh Alford, maybe Aaron Oliva. I'm trying to think, Ty Metcalf, another return missionary, Jay Wadley, David Rao, who, another one. So there's some guys that we benefited not only having the mini camp practices, but a good 8-week, 4-day-a-week solid workout cycle through the fall, and then having a camp right now. So it's very, it's not optimal, but it's very beneficial for the nature of where we are, because we have a very young team, and we have, a bevy of new starters on the offensive line.
Coach, with just this crazy year this past year, and appreciating the sport a little more, what excites you most about this class that's coming in?
I like the return missionaries. They're all going to play. Okay. Even though they're freshmen, the thing that's great about that is they're freshmen, but they're 20, 21 years old, and they're a little bit more mature. So I count them in the class. But like I said, hopefully we won't have to play the guys that we signed here. We can slow cook them. And I'm not talking about the missionaries, but the high school kids, you always want to slow cook rather than microwave them. And that's, I think hopefully we'll be able to do that. So that's, I'm just excited that, we got a couple of, got some old linemen like I don't know how you can talk to AP about how he found that running back down in Texas, but I think a lot of people missed on him too. Like I said, a couple of California kids, they're probably looked over due to the fact that California didn't play. And that's, part of the reason why we got a couple kids from out of there that we probably wouldn't have gotten any other time.
I mean, can you walk me through a couple of those kids? I mean, we all know what Javon is about, but the other guys, I mean, Benji, Calvin, Devin, the other guys you signed today, just what did you like about them? What is the role that you see them playing eventually?
Yeah, well, obviously Benji, running back, like I said, AP will go a little bit more in depth on him, but you look at his highlights and he catches the ball. You see him run and shoot. You see him playing defense. He kind of does it all. Cortland Horton, his parents went to school here. And did his dad play here? He didn't. I'm not sure. I think his dad played. But nice big. That's what we say. We recruit those body types. You need those body types for special teams as well as playing the 6'3", 6'4", 230, 245 pound kid. Devin Collins was actually a lineman out of the San Bernardino area in Southern California, where one of our former players and GAs worked him out and gave us the heads up on him. And like I said, AP can go further on that. So and this, Calvin Pitcher was just, I think, early. JB Hall dug him up way early, and we were on him way early. And that was another one that this whole time is like, someone's going to come in and get him. Someone's going to come in and get him, and no one did. And that's I guess in our favor, fortunately.
What about the return missionaries? I mean, sort of same thing, just what role you see them filling. I mean, what you like about them, what kind of players they are.
The return missionaries, the kids that we have right now, are a little bit more fast tracked because, like I said, they're a little bit more mature. But the fact that Tu'u, Owen, and Spencer are all getting reps right now just will benefit us. Plus, the best thing about this whole thing is this season doesn't count. So they can play, and they're still freshmen with a redshirt year available in the fall. So it also provides depth. But two, I think he's a little bit bigger than 215. I want to say he's about 230, and he's running well with our twos. Whenever we scrimmage, it might be a week before we scrimmage. I'm curious to see how he goes. Owen Stewart is providing something very solid in our offensive line. He's easily moved into our top 7, and that's important because you got to have 10, you got to 8 or 9 or 10, and then Spencer Tatafu has the ability to play both defensive line or kind of that outside rush backer position, and all three of those kids, were particularly Tu'u and Spencer, were two that I didn't ever want them to go on their missions. I would have rather have had them here now playing, but that's just the way it goes. I mean, good for them going and serving, but they came back ready to go.
You look at what you brought in. Is there a position group where you feel like maybe you missed? You would have liked to have 1 or 2 more guys where you still think
obviously you want to. Yeah, we're still, we'll still find a quarterback. There's going to be a quarterback out there because enough schools haven't played. We had a couple of feelers out there for quarterbacks and it didn't come through. But we will have a quarterback. We probably still need a receiver. We lost the kid to UTEP. That's an important deal. Obviously, I'm looking at, safety's good. O-line, we're good for a couple of years in terms of depth. That's really where we're looking. If you can always use O-linemen, you can always use cornerbacks, but you have to sign a quarterback with every class. And so we'll still be doing a little bit of work here and there, looking for, there'll be a couple more. Just let me offer. I'm gonna let you guys feed on AP now. So Aaron Pryor, if you don't know who he is, played here. He's doing a wonderful job coaching our slot receivers and our tight ends. But I gave him the recruiting coordinator position, and he took off and run with it, and he's done a good job getting, like I said, getting some of these guys on here. So I'm gonna go. Anything else? We good? We good? Everybody good?
And guys, don't feel any pressure. If you don't have questions, you're good. I just wanted to say hi to Jerry, man. That's all. I came on here for Jerry, to be honest. What's up, Jerry?
Oh, you are the man, AP. It's good to see you.
Good to see you as always. So yeah, if you don't feel pressure. Do not feel.
Well, one question I have for you. I mean, how stressful is it to offer someone early and then you play the whole waiting game?
Man, I'll be honest. It is pretty stressful. I mean, like we talked about the kid out of Texas. We offered him. We were hoping we can get him to sign in December. But, for us, early signing day usually doesn't work out like that for out-of-state guys. So just having to hold on to that offer for that long, and he actually committed, and we thought we had him. And then somebody came in late, scooped him up. So it is stressful because you at the same time, you kind of want to have a backup plan, but you also want to honor that commitment, and you hope they would do the same. So at the end of the day, it's not official until they sign that paper. So it is pretty stressful, I'll be honest.
I mean, all the recruiting experience I have is from college football 14. So, I mean, when someone commits and are you still talking to my schools like you, or for example, like Idaho State, do you guys still give them a phone call and say, hey, like, we're still available if you need to come here?
Right. Well, for us, if we have a guy that's committed, like I said, we try to honor that. But if there's another kid that's committed, really, we try not to mooch off of other guys' commitments it doesn't really work out for us that way anyway, especially at the FCS level. We're not really plucking guys from the FBS level. But a lot of times it does happen the opposite way. But we try to respect those as best as possible.
With players not being able to come and see the campus and check out and watch the football games this fall, what were some things you told players to get them to come to Idaho State?
Well, to be honest, kind of like you said, to get them here is usually really one of our, I guess I'll start here. One of our biggest selling points is us as a staff, one, and then also the culture we have in our locker room. And it's hard to show that, obviously, with kids not coming here, being able to, socialize with the coaching staff. I mean, when they come on trips, they meet families, they meet the wives, they meet the kids. They didn't get to do that this time around. So like Coach Finn said, I put together or not just me, but me and the think tank, we call it, we put together a Zoom call to be able to, so they can interact with the coaches. We had a little virtual tour. We figured out how to fly a drone. We got like a campus tour with using the drone in the weight room all around campus. And these are coaches doing this too. So we put in a lot of work to try to still get that official visit experience or unofficial visit experience. But of course it was tough, but we still were able to land some good recruits using that tactic. So I guess it worked a little bit.
Flip side of that would be, you signed a couple Cali guys. What are you relying on to sort of evaluate those guys? Junior tape, or is it just you got to be really confident in sort of your sources down there telling you about these kids? Absolutely,
man. We do trust our evaluations, and, obviously it's hard to see what those guys will look like in their senior year when they don't have one. But, we just try to do a good job projecting, really. A lot of those guys have high ceilings, and a lot of those guys have actually gone to different little camps, and they're putting together other little films that can kind of show us, their development over the year. But, you never really know, because it's a little different when a live game situation. But, we just trust our evaluations, honestly. And we're pretty confident in them.
You talked about like flying drones and things like that. What's changed the most from when you were recruited to now?
Oh, man, it's completely different. It's probably social media, to be honest. Social media, actually, it's like 10 years ago to this day when I was getting recruited here. I signed in 2011. Oh, wow. Dang, Steve, 10 years. That's 10 years ago today. Wow, yeah. But it's changed. The social media aspect probably, guys want their graphics now. When you get an offer, they want you to make a graphic for them so they can post it on Twitter. And, me, I just got an offer and I told mom and dad and was getting ready to sign. So it's a lot different as far as that, the social media aspect. You got to kind of appeal to the younger generation a little differently than you had to before. So that's probably the biggest thing, the social media aspect.
Aaron, going through this crazy recruiting season, the whole thing has been crazy. What are some of the most important lessons you've learned as a recruiting coordinator because of the situation that's been created by the pandemic?
Probably how important building those relationships are. You kind of get away with it a little bit, not building those relationships when they're going to come on campus. But if you really want a guy, you got to really put in the legwork, especially when you can't go to the school, you can't do a home visit, they can't come here. It's a lot different. So it's you almost have to work even harder to build those relationships because mom and dad has to trust that you're going to take care of their kid when they come out here. So, and you don't get to sit in the living room. I mean, those parents drill you in the living room now. They'll ask all the questions. They don't hold back. So they don't get to really do that during a time like this. So I think the biggest lesson for me, at least, is how important. I mean, if you can do that just naturally, you'll have an easier time with it. But, you know, some people, maybe you have to work harder to do it. But just the importance of building those relationships with the recruits, that's probably the biggest thing.
Personally, what do you see as your greatest strength as a recruiting coordinator?
Probably that. Probably being able to relate to guys and building those relationships. And it really makes it easy here because I played here. I mean, I've been here, like I said, almost 10 years now. So, you know, I can relate to I can talk to the parents. I can talk to the student athletes and they feel comfortable talking to me since I'm not that far removed. You know, there's some questions they may feel comfortable asking me that they may not want to ask Coach Finn. No offense to Coach Finn, but, you know, it's just a little different, you know, being able to relate to those guys, being not that far removed.
You know, what makes the Idaho State Bengal, since you play there? Tell us what it is.
Say that one more time.
What makes the Idaho State Bengal? You know, like your player, your culture, what is it?
Man, that family environment we talked about. I mean, building those relationships, building that network. I mean, that's a big reason why I'm still wearing Idaho State gear and I'm coaching right now. You know, I played here from 2011 to 2014. I built connections while I was here, and ultimately I ended up getting the job here because of those relationships that I built as a player. So, you know, like I said, that's one of our biggest selling points here is that relationship building, that connection you gain with the coaches, that open door policy. Everybody feels comfortable coming into their coach's office or another coach's office, which is a lot different than what I've heard at other schools. So, you know, being a Bengal, I mean, you get all that comes with it, man, that family environment. It's not just about football. It's not just, it's bigger than that. It's really about the family here.
Coach kind of talked about before how important it is to have Idaho athletes on his team. Is this a conversation that you guys have at the start of every season? And what do you do to try to get these local high school Idaho kids playing at Idaho State?
Yeah, like you said, that is a priority of ours, is to get, you know, those in-state, those local kids. And there's a lot of talent in the state that we try to grab out of here. But, you know, obviously it's about 3-4 Idaho schools, and you got Weber right down the street. So it is a competition getting those guys here because we're competing with a lot of schools. But that is something that Coach Finn has prioritized since he's been here, and it's been like that across the board. We all agree on it, and we want to try to, you know, emphasize that in our recruiting. Now, it doesn't always play out the way we like, but, you know, we will try our best to continue to do that, build the state.
Like Coach Fentz said, I mean, you're the guy who's down in the weeds evaluating all these guys. What did you see from each of the 5 guys you brought in today?
Say that last part one more time. I'm sorry.
What did you see from each of the 5 guys you brought in today? I mean, can you just give us a little more background about their games, their scouting reports? I mean, what you saw when you were evaluating them?
Yeah, and also they told me to make sure. So we signed Shimizu, old lineman out of Las Vegas.
I was just skimming Twitter in the other window. I was like, that's really sneaky of you guys to do that while we're all on the
just having
call.
just right now. So yeah, Steve was just telling me, make sure you announce. So Nalu, big fella out of Las Vegas, old lineman. We just signed him, kind of a late guy that we got on. We talked about Benjamin a little bit, which was that was one of those. To be honest, social media. That's how I found him on Twitter. I made a post one day, and I was actually quarantining because I had COVID. So I was doing nothing but watching film. I mean, for hours every day watching recruiting film. I didn't have anything better else to do at that time. So I made a little post, and the guys were throwing the film under there. I'm watching hundreds of guys film. And he popped out. I got in contact with his coach. I mean, when we evaluate these guys, we try to literally find out anything we can. I've talked to a lot of people, talked to counselors, principals, janitors, the store clerks. I mean, we try to find everything we can about kids, especially the out-of-state kids, just to make sure we're doing our due diligence. So Benjamin was a kid that checked out. I mean, the story was great. I won't go too much into it, but I mean, a real humble kid. heck of a football player. So we're excited to get him up here. Cortland Horton, like you said, body type guy. Coach Cooper brought him up. Me and Coach Coop kind of tag team that Boise area. So he has Eagle. So he brought him in. He should be a good addition for us. Devin Collins, Nico Taylor, actually, he has his own. He trains D lineman and O lineman. Nico Trenches. He has his own little company that he used to play D line here. So Devin Collins actually attended a couple of his camps, and he does some personal workouts with him. So Nico was able to see, his development over time, even though he didn't have a senior year. And he, threw his name out there for us. So we evaluated him, we liked him, threw him an offer. Jovan, we've been on him for a little while since, obviously in-state kid, electric. Man, it was good talking to him, getting to know him during this time. Connor Maloney, like we talked about, his mom is the tennis coach here. So she was hitting me up trying to see what we can do for him because we were very tight on spots just because of COVID and bringing seniors back. So our rosters, we were only allowed to have 100 guys. So we were trying to make room for him, and we were able to. So it'll be exciting to coach him. Calvin Pitcher, Coach Hall did a great job of building that relationship, man. He's very serious when it comes to that stuff. So he plugged him out of California, built that relationship, got him here to sign. And then, like you said, all the other Mission kids, Owen Stewart, Tutu, he's actually nephew of Coach Fia. So he gets to coach him, play under his uncle. He'll be a good addition for us too. And then you say we got Owen Stewart, Big O, 6'8", 310, big body. I mean, you can't miss him. So it's great to see him out there when he got pads on. And yeah, he'll be a beast. And then we got Spencer. He's a great player, doing great for us on defense. And then later we'll end up getting Sam Daw and Junior Demooney. So it'll be good to have those guys here. So that's a little bit about, the guys that we signed and the guys that'll be coming in the fall.
Thanks. How did you sort of manage, recruiting these kids with, like Ben talked about, where, maybe it's a scholarship, maybe it ends up being a gray shirt, depending on what happens in the spring season. Maybe you might need to walk on. I assume you dealt with a lot more of that this year than you would in previous years when you had more scholarships to fill.
Right. Yeah, no, you said it, you hit it right on the head. I mean, we didn't have much money to work with because we were bringing back a good amount of our seniors were bringing back for the fall. So we didn't have a lot of numbers to work with. But the good thing about, being at this level, we can break up our scholarships a little bit. So there's some guys that can come in on a partial and 0.25 or a half or whatever. We can kind of break that up as best as we can to spread that money out. And some guys may end up, getting bumped up later on. All the guys that we signed understand their position, and some guys are full, some guys are partial, some guys are walk-ons, but ultimately they're all just excited to be here, and that's why we're excited to have them.